After The Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogy, Peter Jackson repeatedly said he was done directing Middle-earth films. He described them as exhausting and difficult. It appears he's keeping that promise and doing something more dangerous instead. He's handing the keys to his kingdom to the one man who might understand this world even more intimately than he does. A man who spent 2 decades living inside the most tortured mind in all of fiction. Andy Serkis is returning to Middle-earth, not only as a performer, but also as the director. And the story they're telling isn't a safe crowd pleaser. It's a psychological thriller carved from a 17-year gap deliberately erased from view by the original films. December 2027, the date is locked. Can they pull it off? Before we talk about what this film is, we need to talk about the hole it has to climb out of. Amazon spent close to $1 billion on the Rings of Power. Critics were broadly positive, but the audience? A different story entirely. The Rotten Tomatoes audience score landed at 38% on Season 1 and 48% on Season 2, and the loudest voices were hardcore Tolkien fans, furious about changes to the original lore.
What will they do when you tell them that you are my ally? When you tell them that Sauron lives because of you!
And you will die because of me!
Whether you loved it or hated it, the result was the same. The audience was fractured, and trust in the franchise was bruised. That's the battlefield this film is walking into. To understand why this movie matters, you have to understand the illusion the original film sold you. In The Fellowship of the Ring, Gandalf leaves the Shire to research Bilbo's ring, and it feels like just a few weeks. In Tolkien's lore, that gap is 17 years. 17 years where the One Ring, Sauron's ultimate weapon, sits unprotected in a hobbit hole. And while Frodo is living a quiet, ordinary life, the most powerful wizard in Middle-earth is losing sleep. He's tearing through archives, interrogating prisoners, racing to confirm something he desperately hopes isn't true. And there's only one creature alive who can give him the answer. A wretched, half-mad being who once held the ring for centuries. Gollum. So Gandalf sends the most lethal tracker in the north to find him, and the man who steps out of the shadows isn't the noble king we know, it's a feral ranger who goes by one name, Strider, a man who has spent decades surviving alone in the wild, moving through the darkest corners of Middle-earth unseen. He has no throne, no title, no army, just a sword, a set of tracks in the mud, and a bloodline he isn't sure he wants. Here's what makes this production genuinely fascinating, and genuinely risky. Most people assume this story barely exists on paper. That's not quite true. Tolkien actually wrote about this period in detail in Unfinished Tales, in a chapter literally called The Hunt for the Ring. Gandalf's movements, Sauron's spy network, the Nazgul's search strategy, Gollum's trail, it's all there across several pages of dense lore. So this isn't a blank canvas, it's a detailed blueprint that the mainstream audience has never read. And that's the opportunity. Serkis and the writers are adapting material most viewers don't know exists, which means it can feel completely surprising while staying faithful to Tolkien. And it plays out across 3 characters, each one unraveling in a different way.
My precious.
Erase the cackling creature from the 2 towers. This begins with Smeagol, still almost human, someone you might actually feel something for. And then, in real time, we watch his mind split violently in 2. Not as backstory, not as flashback, as the main event. We'll see his capture and what came after. Mordor's dungeons, an ancient evil tearing his psyche apart with surgical patience, hunting for 2 words. Shire. Baggins.
Discerned 2 words.
Shire! Baggins!
Shire. Baggins.
He wasn't broken by accident. He was broken on purpose, by something that knew exactly which threads to pull. This is where the film faces its trickiest creative decision. In Jackson's trilogy, Aragorn runs from his destiny, reluctant, conflicted. But in Tolkien's books, he knows exactly who he is. He's never in denial. He's simply waiting, biding his time while doing the world's dirtiest work.
So, I do not know what strengthens my blood. But I swear to you, I will not let the White City fall.
So which Aragorn does this film give us? Nobody knows yet. and that question alone makes him the most fascinating character to watch. Into that uncertainty steps Jamie Dornan, and the internet is split. Many feel Mortensen is simply irreplaceable. Others point to The Fall and Belfast as proof Dornan has exactly the quiet, commanding intensity this role demands. If he finds that balance, he wins people over. If he doesn't, the film loses its center before the second act. And the pressure is unlike anything he's faced before. He isn't just replacing an actor, he's inheriting an icon and doing it in front of an audience that's already got its arms crossed. But the most crucial arc belongs to Gandalf. In the original films, Gandalf is the anchor. He is wise, commanding, and in control. Here, that's completely different.
It's about knowing not when to take a life, but when to spare one.
This Gandalf is scared. Every clue he chases, every archive he searches, it's all driven by one desperate hope, that he's wrong. That the most dangerous object in the world isn't sitting unprotected in some small hobbit home while Sauron grows stronger. His whole story builds to one quiet moment. No fight, no magic, just a piece of paper. He reads the words, and everything clicks into place. The ring is real. Sauron already knows where it is. There is nothing left to do but run. While Gandalf digs through the archives and Aragorn tracks footprints, Sauron is already moving. This isn't just a hunt for one creature. Tolkien makes this explicit in Unfinished Tales. It's a race against an active, intelligent, dark network. The Nazgul are deployed. Spies are placed across Middle-earth. While Frodo thinks the world is at peace, the machinery of Mordor is already turning. Quietly, patiently, unstoppably. That's what makes this story so suffocating. Gandalf and Aragorn aren't just racing against time, they're racing against an enemy that has already planned 10 moves ahead. And by the time Gollum breaks in those dungeons and gives Sauron what he needs, it's already over. The nine are riding before Gandalf reads a single line of that scroll. They were always going to be too late. And this is what makes the hunt for Gollum more than just a cash grab prequel. It's a retroactive tragedy. By the time Gollum drops onto Frodo in the Two Towers, we always knew he was broken, but we never knew how completely. This film forces us to watch that destruction happen in real time. He wasn't just hiding in a cave. He was hunted like an animal by Aragorn, dragged across continents, and physically shattered in the dungeons of Mordor, destroyed by an addiction he could never escape, and broken on purpose by something that needed him that way. Every whisper, every twitch, every heartbreaking flicker of Smeagol trying to surface in the original trilogy carries a different weight once you've seen exactly what it cost him. And it changes Fellowship forever. When you go back and watch it after this film, you won't just see a fun adventure beginning. You'll feel the crushing, exhausting weight of what it took just to get Frodo to that front door. What it cost Gandalf, what it cost Aragorn. That starting line cost everything. If Serkis gets it wrong, he doesn't just make a bad movie, he cracks the foundation of cinema's greatest trilogy. He hands the cynics exactly the ammunition they need to ride off Middle-earth for good. But if he gets it right, something rarer happens. He proves that this world still has something real left to say, that the original creative family didn't come back out of nostalgia or greed, but because this specific story needed to be told. And he'll make a 25-year-old masterpiece hit even harder than it ever did. December 17, 2027, we find out which one it is.